Hi, everybody. I'm Richard Sher, and welcome back to Square Off. Let's meet our panel. Your panel today is the Reverend Shannon Wright, Tyrone Keys, Barry Gogel, and the amazing Catalina Byrd. Thank you all for being here. Uh, we recorded this program Friday morning at the same time that authorities in Utah were having a press conference to talk about the arrest of a suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk. The problem is it's been delayed, but we cannot be delayed. So here we go. Uh, the first only information we have is that there's a young man named Tyler Robinson. He is from Utah. He is identified as the suspect. We don't know how he was caught because the press conference is happening almost as if at the time we're talking. He's from Washington County in Utah, and there are reports that Tyler Robinson's father turned him in, but we'll know those details as they become available. All right, so both Republican and Democratic leaders are calling for political violence to stop. This, of course, after Wednesday's assassination of Charlie Kirk, the 31-year-old, greatly admired conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, also a close friend of Donald Trump's. Kirk, who was shot and killed while he was speaking on the campus of Utah Valley University, President Trump ordering U.S. flags to be flown at half-staff in memory of Charlie Kirk. Shannon, your thoughts about this assassination?
So, one of the tenets that this country is built on is freedom of speech. So, when someone is assassinated based on their words, that's just wrong on a whole bunch of levels. You took a life, you took a father from his kids who will be too young to really remember him. You violated his free speech. The list goes on and on and on. Um, we have to get back to a place where we recognize the truth, which is there's the right, there's the left, and
Hello.
somewhere in the middle is common sense that we can all agree on.
Yeah, but there doesn't seem to be much common sense, Shannon. How are we going to learn to have common sense? It seems that the country is so polarized now that there's almost no hope for what you're saying.
Got to take a beat and take a breath. Think about um, what you would want to be done for you and to you before you do or say something to somebody else. We have to take that beat.
Okay, who wants to speak up? Kat,
Yes.
Barry, or go ahead, Barry.
Go ahead, Kat. Go ahead, Kat.
Um, I think that all loss of life is tragic, but I think that glorifying one loss of life while minimizing others is disingenuous and is part of how we got here. And in a rare occasion, I agree with Shannon. We are very polarized and we should have gotten back to the middle. But unfortunately, Charlie didn't have a rhetoric that was going to lead us there. And so while I am a widow, I also grieve for Erica, and my heart goes out to his children because I've lived that experience of having a murdered husband. I also know that there are consequences that come with the energy that you put into the universe and the words that you use to describe the people that you don't see eye to eye with.
Barry.
So up until Wednesday, I have to admit I had no idea who Charlie Kirk was. I try to keep my head out of either side's echo chamber. But since Wednesday, I've learned a lot about Charlie Kirk. I learned that he promoted Christian nationalism, COVID-19 misinformation, great replacement conspiracy theories, election fraud conspiracy theories, all views that I vehemently oppose. I learned that he targeted professors online for causing his followers to send death threats. And ironically, he opposed gun control and justified the number of deaths as a reasonable cost to pay for gun rights. Does that mean I think his killing was justified in any way? Of course not. Absolutely not. But does it mean I think he should be canonized? It doesn't. Or that those who oppose his views should be blamed for his murder. It just deepens the divide, and that is what President Trump is doing by blaming the radical left for this. I'm not the radical left, but people who oppose President Trump don't deserve to be blamed for his death. Charlie Kirk did not deserve to die, but neither did Melissa Hartman, Andrew Wilkinson, and others.
Tyrone Keys, good to have you back. Good to see you. What are your thoughts? Did you admire Charlie Kirk, or did you follow him at all? Are you familiar with him?
I'm familiar with him, absolutely. I didn't follow him, but I won't qualify my statements here. I think that anytime you have anyone that is using rhetoric to espouse their view, even if I find the views objectionable, I don't believe that the reaction to that should be violence. And I will emphasize, I don't need to qualify that with anything he may or may not have said. I think it's a very slippery slope when we have people who, if I lose an argument, I'll just say, hey, okay, I need to strengthen my ideas around this viewpoint. I think more people need to develop some emotional intelligence and just be able to agree to disagree. But at the point where we are taking up arms, we've seen this in America before. James Earl Ray apparently couldn't develop a proper retort to Martin Luther King Jr., so he took up arms. Sirhan, Lee Harvey Oswald, the list goes on. So it's ugly. And I think that we all agree that this has to stop.
Catalina, you were, well, go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I just want to add, Newton's third law of motion, that every action has an opposite and equal reaction, is also true in politics. Many of us in our high school learned about harmonic motion by a bridge that starts to sway and doesn't stop, and it bursts apart. And that's where I fear our country is. And it's up to our political leaders to provide the dampening effect of that. And unfortunately, I fear that many of our political leaders are echoing the sentiments, the proper sentiments that we are expressing today about the tragic murder of an individual. But to Shannon's view, we need a centrist party. And we need a centrist party that steps outside our two-party primary system and allows for the center, those of us who believe in the functions of government is what our government should be doing, and not be out on either sides with morality issues. That's what our government should be doing. And unfortunately,
and Barry, you're right. I agree. The issue is that I think that we need to teach civics again, because one of the issues on both sides is nobody understands what the function of government is supposed to be, but they believe that they do. And they stay in their echo chamber, and that makes them feel that much more emboldened that they're right, even when they're wrong. And so, it's difficult to have a conversation when absolute truth and absolute fact are not defined as the same thing on either side, where we can argue the merits of it. They just absolutely have a whole different understanding of what government is. And when it doesn't go their way, they want to change the Constitution, which is very un-American to me, but seems to be allowed in the cult that took over the party I grew up in.
Well, changing the Constitution is American. Ignoring the Constitution is un-American.
Absolutely.
All right. On that note,
let me respond really quickly.
Go ahead, Tyrone.
Barry, I would say this, and this is something that the Zeitgeist has got kind of comfortable with, is identifying our politicians as leaders. They're representatives, and they are a microcosm of the society as a whole. So I think that if we start to expect moral leadership from them as if they are these philosopher kings, I think that I think we're barking up the wrong tree with that, respectfully.
Well, the representatives who espouse those views, I agree with you that there are many politicians who agree that their role is not morality leadership. But when you have somebody who says, I am the government, and I tell you who should be canonized and who should be demonized, you're going to get a reaction that's opposite and equal on the other side. And it's just going to be keep swinging back and forth until it breaks.
Hold it, Barry. Is the name Tyler Robinson?
Breaking news.
Breaking news
Bless his heart.
is that he apparently has confessed to murdering Charlie. We're going to stop for a moment, take a break. It's great to be back on Square Off. And here is the magic voice of this program, ladies and gentlemen, Howard Mallison from the Mallison Library.
Thank you, Richard. You know, the law firm of Barry Glazer specializes in personal injury, medical malpractice, and nursing home neglect. His creative TV commercials have made him very recognizable because Barry tells it like it is. Check his words of wisdom out on Facebook. Barry and his team have an in-house doctor and nurse on staff. So call Barry before you call the insurance company. Barry gets you the compensation you deserve. He's that good. Give the law firm of Barry Glazer a call at 410-547-8568 and let them know you heard about him on Square Off. You know, with so many cars on the road and distracted drivers everywhere, auto accidents will happen. And if you've experienced an accident, the insurance companies cannot tell you where to take your car. That's why more and more drivers are trusting their auto repairs and maintenance to leading edge auto body and mechanical repair. They work on all makes and models and offer free pickup and delivery anywhere in the Baltimore area. Call them at 410-443-6433 or visit them at 5807 Falls Road in Mount Washington. They make your car look and run like new again. Now back to you, Rich.
Thanks, Howard. And you saw me turn around is because my wife Annabelle is monitoring the press conference from Utah and reports that the suspect in custody, Tyler Robinson, is 22 years old, and he has apparently confessed to the assassination. Police, by the way, did recover the murder weapon. It was a high-powered bolt-action rifle found in a wooded area near where the shooting took place. Shannon, we haven't heard from you in a while. More thoughts about
This is rough. Right now, we're at a place where we're at a crossroads in our country where we can decide to let things like this divide us or reunite us. I'm hopeful for the reunite. It's been said on this show this morning that our leaders are using this rhetoric, but you know what? We, the people, can decide that we want to be united, that we do not want to be divided, that we need to find common ground. We can make that decision. And I think we all should.
Unfortunately, we have a two-party system with primaries that both sides exploit to get a government that tends to the edges. We need a party for the rest of us. Okay, guys, I know what we're going to call it. Party for the rest of us is the Festivus Party. Y'all want to join? Y'all want to join? I'm in.
Does it have whiskey?
I'm with you, Barry, but you might have to give Richard some. You might have to give him a few points on the feats of strength part. Give him a little head start.
Okay.
Thanks, Ty.
Listen, guys. Another angle of this that we're seeing in society is this guy is apparently very young, right? And he resorted to violence. Now we're seeing that with a lot of young people throughout the country, and I don't know what the answer is, but we definitely need to start thinking about how do we convince young people to stop and ask themselves a series of questions. Number one, how is this going to look in an hour? If I do this, well, how's this going to look an hour down the road? And I'm not just talking about with this kid here. I'm talking about for young men who engage in violence in our cities, people who engage in, putting things on the internet that may haunt them for the rest of their lives. It seems to be a particularly pervasive issue with young folk, and I think we need to start thinking about that.
Who wants to respond to Tyrone?
Well, I mean, I agree. One of my biggest issues with Charlie Kirk was the targeting of young people, taking the Prove Me Wrong tour on college campuses. I think that, that helped to radicalize them. This young man's 22 years old. Charlie was only 31. But when you go back, and those that know me know, I love Twitter. So I've watched Charlie idolize Rush Limbaugh, who was essentially the same type of rhetoric for the right, and just as demonizing, especially in '08 when President Obama was elected. And we have to be more mindful of the things that we allow our children to consume, or at least offer context to them and an alternate point of view so that they can judge for themselves. But I always took issue with the fact that he was allowed to go to these schools because there was no follow-up. Who comes with the opposite opinion of a Charlie Kirk and brings those same people together and says, okay, this is what he said, this is what we think, this is what we want you to take into consideration. Without the correct juxtaposition, you're going to have more children radicalized, and that's the danger that we're really sitting in.
Charlie Kirk was participating in what's called the Socratic method of debate. Alan Keys actually used to come to my undergrad college and do the same thing. He would just post up on the steps of the library and he would engage in debates with the students. No one needed to keep us safe.
I remember Alan Keys.
Uh-huh.
I
No
do
relation.
too.
No relation.
He did the show.
No one needed to keep us safe from him. He would actually encourage us to either realize we were at the extent of our opinion and to gather more facts, either to support our position or to, God forbid, change our view. All right. So I don't think people need to be protected from developing the skills necessary to engage in critical thought.
Quite opposite. We need to get more critical thinking and critical teaching in our schools. Part of the problem is we have people who listen on the surface to views like Christian nationalism, the COVID conspiracies, and things like that, and only accept the surface level appeal that they may have to them, and not go think deeper. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm a former school teacher myself. That teaching the critical thinking. I'm a lawyer too, so I'm very well adverse in the Socratic method, and a law professor, so I know all about it. That is what we need. We need. If you talked about Rush Limbaugh, and now we have Charlie Kirk. Again, I get back to that harmonic bridge that just bursts apart. We don't have dampeners, and we need to figure out, education is one of those dampeners. We need to figure out the dampeners in our society that fights against the opposite and equal reaction of these provocative individuals.
I agree with you, Barry.
Let me just
It's education. Because the thing that I was saying, Tyrone, I wasn't saying protect them as if they're stupid. We haven't given them the tools in school before Charlie Kirk or anybody else gets to their campus with this rhetoric for them to understand that Socratic method and operate and function with it the way that it's intended. We have to change some things in our curriculum. And I agree with Barry completely on that. Also, the fact that the problem of trying to find dampeners is both sides attack the people trying to bring them back to the middle and say that, we're not Black enough. We're not patriotic enough. We're not whatever enough. You're not Christian enough. You don't love God enough. And so what's creating the environment to allow dampeners to come and actually be able to do just that and help us keep us from breaking ourselves apart?
Well, President Trump has announced
not a dampener.
No,
that
not
his
a
friend
dampener.
Charlie Kirk. Oh, Barry, Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
President, that's great. Thank you, Barry, for the time. President Trump has announced that his friend Charlie Kirk will be posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The president ordering flags to be flown at half-mast to honor his friend, and the president and first lady will be attending the funeral later on. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about Governor Moore, some of the things he has in mind for himself, or doesn't. Here's Howard.
Thank you, Richard. Dr. Kelly Gagan is a well-respected board-certified podiatrist and heel specialist. You know, foot problems can happen at any age, and Dr. Gagan knows that the appearance of your feet matter just as much as correcting any problems you may be experiencing. I'm speaking as a patient. I think Richard has been a patient. I know Rick Vatz has been a patient. His whole family has. And you know, if unsightly toenails embarrass you to wear sandals or open-toed shoes, you may be a candidate for laser treatments that can solve this issue. They are safe, painless, and go right to the cause. And you can believe me because I'm a satisfied patient, and so is Richard. So
don't they call you Pretty Feet Mailson? I heard.
They do. Mallison. Give Dr. Gagan a call at 410-753-4422 to set up an appointment. And Baltimore is a great diner town, and Double T Diner, year after year, is voted #1 in reader polls. TT stands for totally terrific. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you can't beat the enormous menu selections that will bring you back again and again. There's Double T locations on Route 40 West, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Bel Air, Laurel, Annapolis, Pasadena, the EC Diner in Ellicott City. Plus, tried By the Docks in Middle River for their Monday night lobster special, and they also have other specials during the week. They have prime rib specials as well. All part of the Double T family. Tell them you heard about them on Square Off. But back to you, Richard.
Thank you so much, Howard. Last Sunday on Meet the Press and Tuesday in an online message, Maryland Governor Wes Moore reiterated again and again that he is not a presidential candidate and that he will be running for a second term in Annapolis. Meanwhile, the anonymous group called No More, Moore, has taken up fundraising, trying to do what it can to Moore from winning a second term. What do you guys think of that and what's going on with him? Tyrone.
Well, Wes Moore is right. He is not a candidate, and he is running for re-election in the state of Maryland. Now, that all can change. A week from now, he can say, or more appropriately, after the gubernatorial election, he can then say, and now I am also a presidential candidate. I think no one is naive enough to believe that Wes Moore does not have presidential ambitions. And okay, fine, whatever. But before that mystical moment occurs, he needs to think about what's going on fiscally here in the state of Maryland. Now, we just came off of a $3 billion deficit. We're going into another deficit, which may make his reelection prospects challenging at the gubernatorial level. The Maryland citizens, okay, especially the middle class and those below, economically speaking, they are under tremendous pressure. You've got a tire tax, you've got a soda tax, you've got all sorts of fees that have been levied on the backs of the rank and file citizen, the tire tax. And some people say, oh, don't worry, it's only $5 per tire. Think about this. There are corporations like Exelon and Verizon with vast fleets of vehicles. Who do you think they're passing their tire tax on to? So that's double taxation. Can we afford another Wes Moore term? That's the question.
Well, what's the answer, Catalina?
I obviously am friends with the governor, so I'm going to appear biased, but I think the reality is that the economy that we find ourselves in post-COVID that is being plummeted by the current administration on a federal level is going to require us to make some tough decisions and have to increase things. We also voted to raise water bills here in the city. It's not something Brandon wanted to do, but it is a necessity of the fact that we are bringing in less People are moving, people are making less, and things cost more. And it's going to continue to cost more because we have a president that still believes that tariffs are bringing us money. And so one of my favorite things that Brandon says all the time is like, you're not going to be liked all the time in leadership. I think that it's really weird, though, that this No More campaign has no authority line and nobody will say who they are behind it. I've been following them on Twitter. It just seems like a really nasty way to go about it. If you oppose him in a real way for real reasons, then show your face and say who you are.
I agree. Barry, what are your thoughts about a second term for the governor?
Well, I'm not going to use this platform to campaign for or against Wes. I think he's a good man. I think he's a good man with a good heart. And I personally like him the few times that I have met him. I have met him on a couple occasions. My practice does a lot of government contracting, and I know the difficulties that his administration faces. And I know that I personally have not been in favor of some of his hires. I think he's growing better into his position. I think he's hiring better people, and I look forward to continued growth with the governor for the next couple of years, and if he's reelected, beyond.
Shannon Wright.
Well,
Are we wrong, Shannon Wright?
well, I think, quite honestly, Maryland can't afford another 4 years of Governor Moore. I've had opportunities to meet the man, been on panels with him, all that. He's a nice enough man, but I believe he is leading our state down the wrong road.
In what way?
Fiscally, for one thing, we had a AAA bond rating for a long time, which we no longer have. And that has nothing to do with the current administration in DC, because this state was warned before Trump took office that the funding, that the spending, that the plans that were being made were not fiscally sound. So you got a warning, and then you got a drop in your rating. That has nothing to do with anybody but Governor Moore and his administration.
And the people who led up to Governor Moore and his administration, but that's okay.
So again,
that warning was extended.
I'm sorry. Come on now. Again, based on Governor Moore's budget and spending, I think the road also that Governor Moore led us down with regards to Vincent Schiraldi and juvenile justice, or lack thereof, is a big problem. Because the fact that we stayed on that road so long shows that we do not have leadership that can pivot when a pivot is necessary. Next, energy. We are in an energy crisis because of the policies that Governor Moore has insisted on in trying to go green before we're actually ready to do it, and putting our state in a position where we are forced to buy energy and become energy dependent on other folks around us and their goodwill. A month or so back, when we had that message from BG&E about the possible extended power outages, we didn't get notification from the governor. And for a governor that campaigned on no one left behind, there were a whole bunch of folks left behind and at risk. There are folks that do dialysis at home that require electricity, that use oxygen at home and require electricity. And all of our most vulnerable folks were left vulnerable and left behind by our current governor.
Well, I do want to
say
that we're almost, sorry, Shannon, we're almost out of time. It is the fact that Square Off has been off the air, off the internet for, well, I don't know how long. Howard, how long have we been off?
Well, we've been off since June.
Good. All right, so we're back. We want you to tell your friends. We're very excited. And we want to ask you to please use our sponsors, their products, their food,
I love you guys.
their cars.
I gotta go.
Catalina, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Nice to meet you, Barry. You look just like your dad. Tell him I said hi.
That. Thank you.
You're welcome. See you guys.
So anyway, it was fun. We look forward to seeing you next time. Please tell your friends they can comment on Square Off at squareoff.net online. And we'll be back again, same time next week, when once again we square off. So long, everybody.